Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a live remote viewing video. I know I mentioned a couple weeks back that I did want to pivot away from just remote viewing in agenda topics, and that is something I'm still planning on doing. I just want to address this one big theme and topic by just tapping into it for everybody to see, because this is the number one request that I've been getting the past 4 months. And I know that I just want to hit the nail on the head and tap into it and just see what comes forward regarding these data centers, these flock cameras, and we'll just kind of see what else comes forward. So that is going to be what I'm doing today, but definitely as we get towards, early September, I am going to start to roll out more of that solution-based content, and that's something I'm tapping into myself, especially with the energy of this Eclipse portal and figuring out how do I go about that. So stay tuned for a more variety of other content coming as we get closer to September as well. And then last thing, one-on-one sessions, I will be releasing all of my 57 slots that I will be putting up for September and October next Saturday, August 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's East Coast US time. I'll be putting out this session. So once all those go, I will not be opening up sessions until November next. So I will be releasing 2 months of sessions at once. So 57 slots I counted total will be going up next Saturday. And then last thing, I've been getting a lot of requests to open up a testimonial page for so many people who've resonated with my sessions one-on-one. I've been slacking a little bit. I've not really worked on the website that I wanted to do yet. So I will get that all kind of situated by the end of the year, and then you'll be able to kind of do those testimonials then. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so with that, I'm just gonna clear my energy, kind of cut my cords, and just do a little bit of white light protection over myself. And then what I'm gonna do is just remote view into the agenda of the data centers and these flock cameras and sort of what else is gonna come forward today. So just give me a minute and I'm gonna just do a little energetic shield around myself, and then we're gonna tap into this. Okay, so I just did like a white light shield around my energy, and right now, I guess my intention is I want to tap into these data centers. Let's just see what's going on here. Let's see what the root of this is, and we'll get right into it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just off the bat, very strong energetic cord and tie to this theme of surveillance. So in particular, the thread that I got just initially was what these particular data centers are doing is this is a very connected rollout of the 2030 agenda. So basically, if you don't know what the 2030 agenda is, it's basically like one of the NGOs rolled out this agenda like you will own less and be happy, and the system will control you more in that sense. Do a little research into that in particular, but I just got a very strong tie to the 2030 agenda. And this is almost the last big push, especially as we get closer to 2030, with them rolling out this surveillance and all of these technologies. There's a lot of threads that I need to tap into today. I was kind of getting pulled all over the place initially, but biggest pull, 2030 agenda. Okay, so we got a strong tie to this particular agenda. So this is connected. I guess what I want to do right now is kind of tap in to see, okay, so what does this mean for us? And I also want to take a look into what these facilities are. Like maybe I'll remote view inside one of them in particular, and we'll just kind of see where I'm led. So let me tap back in. Okay. Yeah. So I got another thread in particular, like a very big thread. So I'm kind of just tapping in and just seeing sort of all the threads that are going. So think of it like a Venn diagram, like the data centers are in the middle and then there's all these threads on the outside. I just got a thread to 6G installations. So this is it's almost like the data centers had to come first, because when they upgrade to 6G, which they are planning on doing in the next couple years in particular, these centers are storing a lot of these 6G data. In this 6G that they're going to start rolling out. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to share this to scare anyone, and I don't want to do that. Like, I need to let everybody know what's going on so then we can make the best decisions to tackle this, right? I'm not being doom and gloom because I don't believe in doom and gloom, but I just need to share what came forward. There's a big push, in particular 6G. There's connections I'm seeing between that and an increase in frequency manipulation that they want to kind of do to this planet. And it's almost going to be an upgrade to the frequency manipulation systems with the 6G rollout. I'm also seeing a thread between the 6G rollout and the COVID vaccine. I know. So it's almost like when they roll out 6G, there's something that they want to do with it's almost going to be able to connect with stuff that was in the COVID vaccine. Okay, this is a lot of information. And then the data centers holds the information on sort of whatever connection the 6G towers are going to be doing to those with the particular vaccination. So is this like more, how is this connected? I want to tap back in. So we got a thread. Obviously was the first thing that came forward before the 6G. Oh yeah, the 2030 agenda. So we get 2030 agenda. Now we're getting thread with you got to have the vaccine 10 years earlier before this agenda isn't activated. So now we're getting into control through that measure. Okay, let's just tap back in. This is pretty wild. So I'm going to go slow and just get as much out as I can. Okay. So those, for example, for those who took the COVID vaccine, it's not just you get the vaccine and then what the rollout of the 6G is going to do is be able to target you in that sense. It's almost like those who are at a higher frequency and still, took part in that rollout of the vaccine agenda, that group is fine. Like those who have been able to like hold a higher vibration and not fall for any more of the stuff, right? But I am seeing they are going to target, and this is getting as we get towards 2030, they're going to target, number one, those who got the vaccine and start to roll out more of those like government-like programs, or I don't know if it's more through government or like these NGOs of neurochips. It's almost like when you get the vaccine and then next they want to do the neurochips, that's the final tool for these centers to be controlling everybody. I know. So I know I'm like so calm relaying this information, but I'm like needing to process this for a second. Okay. So they're going to start to push some of these maybe neuro-like technologies, and it's almost like phase 1 was the vaccine, phase 2 is the neurotechnologies, and some of these other techs that they want to roll out into people in particular. Then phase 3 is the data center. We can control everything through you. It's almost bringing up, okay, then they could they could still kind of control people through a parasitic lens through frequency manipulation, but this is going to be on a whole new level. Okay, so just throwing that to note, especially if they start, going around and wanting you to chip yourself or, take part in these programs that are going to store certain data in you. There's a connection between the COVID vaccine. They want to start chipping people with something. And that's just, it's almost like that's phase 2. And what these centers are doing is they're not fully being enacted yet until that final push happens, which, yeah, I need to tap into like, okay, so if you get so it's almost like you have to first is the vaccine, then is some sort of chip in some sort of program. And I don't know how this is going to get rolled out. Are they going to pull another, 2020 and then say, guys, it's time for the chips? Like that, because that's what I'm just intuitively piecing into right now. So let me tap more into this. Okay. Transhumanism, AI. I got a direct. So I remote viewed into the future a little bit. I know, I just kind of am going a little bit all over the place. So I remote viewed 2030, and it seemed like Apple, the organization Apple, you know how they roll out a phone every year, a phone, and there's an event in September. I was led to like a line of people waiting at the door, and they're all walking into Apple. This is like September 2030, and they're like, come in and we're gonna chip you, we're gonna chip you, we're gonna chip you. You're now your device, you're now your technology, you're now this. Oh my goodness, I can't believe this is actually the timeline. Very coincided with 2030. So then those are the people, it seems like, who take part in, okay, yay, the system pushes something, I'm gonna take it. So it's like we're gonna have two segments of people. Segment one is the ones who woke up through the 2020 stuff and we're gonna be good. Segment two are those who got the V, right, in 2020, and now as we get closer to 2030, they're going to take part in either, like, there's going to be a public push to chip yourself with, I don't necessarily know, is this like, it doesn't really seem surgical, but it seems like once you're chipped in that lens of, I don't know if they insert something through up the nose or what in particular, then you're a machine. Like, they want to make people into AI. It's like, I saw this Apple event and everybody was like so excited, and there were all these like probably paid influencers at this Apple event. This is like September 2030. I just got the direct, and I saw people walking to Apple store, and it's like everybody getting their chips, and you're now your device. This is Apple on a whole new level. And it seems like it was like there was this push at this particular Apple event that I remote viewed into, where it was like, you can now start your car with your head. You can now do that. This is like wild. Okay. So we know what's coming, guys. This is inevitable. And it seems like data centers with 6G and vaccines are all kind of coincided with this. Okay. We get what's going on here. And I get it at a deeper level now. I see exactly where we're going. And this is something we got to say no to right now, because I really hope that we are not in the Black Mirror timeline. I was watching Black Mirror in 2019 and I just knew. And it seems like we're going to be in Black Mirror by 2030. Predictive programming at its finest, right? So, okay. So I was led, okay, so Apple is going to take part in the rollout of some sort of chips, but that's connected to the data centers. And it's almost like, okay, so think about it, like the data centers, yes, it's all in the flat cameras, are like, think of it, the data centers like the center of the diagram, and we have all these threads. We have the 6G, we have the flat cameras, we have vaccines, we have Apple, we have AI, we have absolutely everything, and all of our information. It's almost like the data centers, if people go and get the chip, they will be able to hold personal information about us through what we're thinking. And they will know and monitor everything that we're doing. So I'm saying this 4 years in advance. Please, 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 please do not take part when they want to start to chip people. Say no. Absolutely, we're not doing this. Especially those who got the V. Like, because those are the ones that they're going to be, that if you didn't get the V and you don't get, it kind of won't work, it seems. So it's like, you got to have the V, and then you need to do the chip, and then you're connected. Very spaced for a particular reason. Once again, those who are at that higher frequency, who weren't really awakened in 2020, took part in that, but kind of shifted out of any of those effects, like, you're fine. This is for those who are system bought and in these, tech fields, and they are going to be taking part in this, and they're going to be connected to the AI consciousness, okay? So they want to replace our own consciousness with an AI grid. These data centers are the AI grids. And what's very fascinating is it seemed to be a thread of when everybody kind of takes part in whatever chipping or this particular situation, there's going to be a lot of the segments of the population that are going to start all acting alike. Questioning the system's going to go away completely because they're going to be connected to this AI grid. But this is where we're going, and I need to warn everyone because we have power. We can stop this. We can stop this by just, number one, when they roll this out, we are not taking it, right? That's just, and I'm probably 4 years in advance here because that seemed to be the first rollout of these chips was 2030, and they were going to push people. It was going to be like, I just hit my thing, sorry. It's going to be like, hey, we'll give you $5,000 if you get this chip. So it's going to be stuff like that. But think about it over time. They could start paying a lot of people to do this, but then you lose yourself forever, right? And you're in this AI connection grid, and you're done at that point. If you get the chip, you're done. Okay, so I want to get into the flock cameras now because I know. Okay, wait, actually, let me remote view into a data center. Let's see, like, who is working at one of these facilities. I'm going to set my intention, just see, okay, what's going on at ones that are just being built at this time and not kind of are done with construction. I'm going to remote view into one and just see if I could describe anything in particular. So they could see, so if you're in the facility, there's these rooms where these centers, and this is almost like HARP. HARP has control over all the 5G towers, and I saw that when I remote viewed HARP. But the data centers they could see through these flock cameras. If you plug in the coordinate of a flock camera, they could pull up and be like, oh, look, this person who's connected to our grid is walking around in nature right now. And because they're putting these flock cameras like in nature and all these areas. So it's almost like just another act of surveillance. So say if you get the second chip that they want to roll out in the next particularly 2030, we could shift out of this timeline. And I think just knowing all this in advance, I think our collective power, we're going to shift out of this 2030 timeline. And I'm hopeful with that. But I'm just saying, if this timeline plays out, if you get the chip, they will be able to monitor you through the centers. And it does seem like there are individuals, but they look weird, that are like I don't know. I want to like see who works at these I just said cloning facilities, but who works at these data centers, right? Let's see. Wow. I was led to cloning facilities. Okay, I just said the word clone, which was so weird. It seems because the radiation, it's not safe for humans, like regular people, to work at these facilities due to like maybe high EMF, all that in particular. It seems these are very high tech, and this is a very like this tech frequency that are in these buildings is not, I guess, safe or whatever to be in. And also due to the volume of the amount of, I guess, surveillance, I have no idea, but that just came forward. They are rolling out clones to work at these facilities. And I was led to a cloning facility in particular, and it's like they are maxing out all of these clones to work the data centers. So it's not going to be generic, government workers or people, hey, being like, I'm going on Indeed and I'm going to work at a clone or at a data center. They are rolling out clones to work at the data centers. This is honestly, I'm actually not surprised, and I'm not surprised. And I think for anybody, it's so easy to kind of piece that together that of course they're going to roll out clones to work at these data centers, right? So that's what they're doing. They're going to be rolling out, well, that's what they are doing right now. So they're maxing out with all of these clones, right? To get them ready to work these facilities so that humans don't have to. And it's almost like they're not just generic clones like a celebrity replacement. These almost feel like AI clones, even less human-like. And that's what was fascinating when I first tapped in. I was like, they look weird. They don't look, the features look a little different. They look like almost robotic clones in these facilities, in these data centers. And they are working the data centers. So once again, here we go. I'm sharing this information and do what you wish with it, okay? And my intention is to empower everyone and to warn people on what is going on the back end, because this is absolutely wild. So we have an increase in cloning because they want to flood the clones into these facilities to work the facilities. I'm not even surprised. Like, maybe just for like 5 seconds when I got the confirmation, because I was like cloning facilities and then data centers, and I think my subconscious already pieced that together, and it makes total sense. Okay. So they got clones that are working these facilities, and it seems like, so think of it like we have the Venn diagram. I'm always going to go back to the Venn diagram. We have 5G on the outside, vaccines, clones, all these things just on the outside, but it's all revolving around these data centers. And then we have those chips and Apple and technology and all these rollouts of these upgraded technologies. Okay, let's just tap in to kind of see. Let me go into the flock cameras now. So we kind of got into the cloning facilities, or why do I keep saying cloning facilities? They're I guess there is actually connection between these data centers and the cloning facilities in that sense. I mean, it's a little bit different, but I'm sure that there's information in the cloning or they're connected in some way. I that's so wild. I kept saying cloning facility before I even got that direct thread, and then honestly, that was so wild. Eclipse energy just matching all these threads together without me even knowing. Okay. So fascinating. I'm honestly processing all this. Okay, what I'm going to do now is tap into these flock cameras. Okay. So yeah, so a lot of it is, once again, going back to the tracking, especially after rollouts of these upgraded technologies, whether it's newer cars in particular, something about these flock cameras, if you're not following the rules, something about these flock cameras are going to be able to self-drive cars to certain places. If for example, if you're speeding a lot, they're really pushing these speeding cameras too right now, which I think is connected to the, if you're not following the rules, then these this 2030 agenda enforcement is, we're going to take your car away and it's going to come right back to either, we're going to put it in a hold, you lose your car for a week, and then we'll send the car back to you and it'll drive itself. So a lot of these newer cars, it's almost like this is a test for the we're going to start to punish you for speeding, especially if you don't pay your speeding tickets on time or whatever. We're just going to self-drive your car into a locked facility. And I just got that thread just now. So once again, jaw on the floor. Am I surprised? No. I guess this is a timeline we're on and we need to start shifting out of it. And I'm so down to help lead everyone in this. But that's a big reason with why they're by the road. So they want to read people's driving patterns a lot as well. So newer cars are going to be, I'm so happy I drive an '08 and I want to keep it for as long as possible now, knowing what's going on. So I think I'd say any car before, I'd say after 2022 is kind of pushing it. Maybe that's like the latest, but 23, I mean, maybe, I don't know what these newer I mean, I know they're holding a lot of data. I'd say cars after, 2020, 2022, a little more worrisome on, okay, what are those cars that have a lot of software, whether that's like electric cars or whatever, I don't know, something very suspicious about as we get to 2030, especially newer cars then rolling out, where they will be able to, if you don't follow the whatever, these cameras are some technology that will connect through the cars, will be able to actually self-guide the cars to certain lockup zones. I mean, I cannot believe this is even possible. So they want to basically draw this type of enforcement. And they could do this, and they say if you get some sort of other violation in this AI reality that they want to create for everybody, they will have the car tapped so they could just remove stuff. So they're going to start that's a thread that I got as well. So with those flock cameras. And then also a lot of it is, okay, we could see you, we could spy on you in very intimate and sacred areas like nature. Like they want to know who is in nature and who's keeping their vibration high, right? So that's just something to know as well, especially with the rollout of those cameras. So now we tapped into the whole flock thing. And now it clicks a lot more why they are rolling out all these speeding cameras in all these little small towns, especially around the US. It's and these cameras are absolutely everywhere. We are getting to a point 4 years from now where they could start taking your car away if this doesn't get stopped. And right now I'm kind of thinking, I remember watching a video from David Icke last year, and he was saying that stuff like this could eventually happen. And I'm literally confirming everything that David Icke said by tapping into this future timeline. So I recommend listening to him at this time, because I'm just via remote viewing, I'm confirming the information that whatever he shared. And I don't listen to him a lot, but it just came through to me that he's been warning people about this. And this is the timeline as a remote viewer. Okay. So once again, not fear. Let's just have the awareness. And what should I tap into now? So we have all these threads. So we have, should I see the connections to HARP and weather manipulation? Let me see if there's a thread to HARP. 1 second. Okay. So actually, no, I'm not getting a thread to HARP in specific. When we think of the Venn diagram, I keep getting brought back to this like Venn diagram. HARP is on the outside. So HARP is obviously more connected to that weather-like manipulation and stuff like that. This is particularly to surveil humans. HARP and chemtrails and all that stuff, and it's not even connected to CERN. It's not really connected to cloning. They're using, obviously, I guess, clones to work at these places, but in particular, a little bit different. So I'm not getting like a theme of a tie to chemtrails, so I can rule that out. So it's mostly just surveillance of us and control of our own data, and especially when they roll out these chips in around 2030 in particular, in this timeline we're in. I mean, once again, the data centers is you gotta get, the 5G, then the 6G, and you gotta get the vaccines out, right? You gotta get all that out, and you gotta get the centers ready, and then we gotta get the chips out to people, and then we're good to go. We could also spy. I mean, they're already starting to use them, but they're not fully turned on and ready to go, and that's not really gonna happen until about 2030. So it's all like show right now. They're probably getting these clones out to work in these facilities or get it ready. I mean, you have to think, like, you have construction people building these buildings. Are they clones? Because I don't understand. Like, there has to be people going into these facilities and seeing these AI-like figures walking around. And I don't know if they are just, getting stuff ready. I actually have absolutely no idea, honestly, what the role is. Or they're just getting them ready to start working there. But, yeah, it's not really going to be people working at these facilities. It seems like AI clones are going to be working at these facilities. So, that being said, I guess, is there anything else that I have to, any other like polls that I'm getting? Right, we need to not be tempted by the system to keep upgrading our. I know it's hard because people are going to have to get new cars and people are having to get new phones, but it's almost like we are going to get to the point where the newer the technology, the more connected to this grid it's going to be. And I wonder, like, is this a sign for a lot to just get rid of technology eventually? Or how can we work with this, especially if it's going to get more controlling on the back end through these data centers? How can we stop this agenda? I think that here's the thing. I could bring up all of this information, but I want to share with you, what can we do to stop this and not get to the point, like, yeah, they have the facilities building. Yes, they have these cameras going up, but who's to say that we all can't come together and fight back and everything gets knocked down? They knock down the buildings. They knock down the flock cameras. They cancel the rollout of 6G. They, divert their plans to chip everybody, right? Who's to say we can't have that timeline? And what I'm going to do right now is kind of just tap in and see what comes through. I don't know where I should go. Do I go to the White Hats? I'm going to go to the White Hats and ask them right now, how can we stop this? Okay. Wow. So the same consciousness being that I typically am led to at the White Hats or the collective came forward again. And what's fascinating was I just had to think, when was the last time I was at the White Hats, like asking something like this in particular, this particular question, or not this particular question, but about another situation. And they reminded me the last time I was there when I was asking about Q. So I haven't really talked to the White Hats in depth in a while. So they were like, remember about Q? Like, this is very similar. There is nobody coming to save you guys. It is all in your hands. It's almost like they're relaying it back to Q a little bit, in the sense of what that was supposed to do was activate our sovereignty. Yes, it obviously was taken over and manipulated. But this is almost like we have the sovereignty. We got all these almost clues of what world are we living in, right? We know, and we feel what's kind of coming with this. We are free to act in the frequency of sovereignty and say no and not be controlled by the system. And that's wild. So they're giving me good reassurance right now over at the White Hats that we don't need to participate in this. There's a way where it could still kind of unfold, and it won't be our reality, because when we're sovereign, we don't need to be in the system. They can only get people who are in the system and take them into this AI consciousness grid. So if we're already questioning, if we're already awakened, this agenda will not be able to be successful. And that was just what I was relayed to over at the White Hats. So yes, all this fear and annoyingness over these centers, at the end of the day, we have much more sovereignty than what they're actually able to impose on us. And that's what was just relayed to me from the White Hats. So I think this is really just reassuring a lot that I was a little worried. So honestly, now let me go back and what an empowering way to wrap up this video. And I'm so happy I got that pull to the White Hats and how they reminded me. I was like, it's actually been almost 3 months since I just like went over to the White Hats, and they reminded me the last time I was there was Q, and I'm like, wait, what? So thank you guys over at the White Hats. But okay, let me go back and kind of just see what else we need to know, and I'm just gonna ask them questions. Absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So it was just relayed to me over from the collective so think about it like there's a grid, an AI consciousness grid that they, meaning the powers that are going down, right? Or that are kind of still are, but the shadow government, whatever you want to call them. They are only imposing this AI control society for those who are already, once again, in the system, but those who have consciousness and who's tapped into the consciousness grid and who are operating really outside of and are fully aware of what's going on. We have our own consciousness grid that the shadow government cannot override. So that was just relayed to me. So if we are already connected on this higher timeline / vibration of whatever we call the awakening, in that sense of, okay, we are not getting a vaccine ever again. I mean, I hope my community's not going to go through with that again, but I guess you have free will at the end of the day. We're going to say no to the chips, right? We're going to do this, and we're also going to stay sovereign in our own spiritual journey and our own sovereignty. And it's gonna bypass, okay, look, there's a camera here. Oh, in like the middle of the woods. Like, it won't have an impact on our vibration because we're gonna be so in line with, it's almost gonna be like we're living in the reality of a lot of, let's just say, AI and control in that lens, but we also have the power to not live in it at the same time. It's not going to override our own free will and our consciousness to be connected to, obviously not the AI grids, right? So this is giving me a lot of optimism that, okay, if they do get away with pushing this, which once again, we all still need to come together and say no, because I damn well don't like these cameras. I don't want flock cameras in the woods. I don't want cameras all over the place, and I don't want this. And I'm not saying, but what was relayed to me was, even if it got pushed out, it won't actually have an effect on those of us who have already shifted in vibration. And I think that's very remarkable. That was kind of relayed to me from them in particular. I guess what I want to do is, do I have anything else that I want to ask in particular? What can we do as the collective to stop this, in the sense of, we are not, can we protest? I mean, I'm not really a fan of protesting, but is there any measure that we can take in particular to stop this? Obviously, there's probably people that want to like burn down the centers, and honestly, like, I'm not going to give my opinion on that. I'm going to leave it to be neutral. So same thing with the flock cameras. Just, I'm not going to say people should or shouldn't. I think people need to, however you're getting pulled to deal with it, I guess that's how you need to deal. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say, if I saw that someone like burned down a data center, I'm not going to like be running around screaming, oh, no. Like, who's going to be upset? So if somebody wants to, destroy a 5G tower or 6G tower or all these updated systems, honestly, so be it. Like, I don't really care. But I guess what I want to do is kind of tap in and see in particular, okay, we know that there's going to be an upping of the surveillance, right? We know that they are going to use these systems and these technologies in malicious ways, okay, towards people that are going to be literally taken over by the AI system. So my question is, what can we do as the collective to say no and to shift us into a reality where, okay, yes, obviously technology is growing and adapting, but the shadow government won't do their final push to absolutely control everybody through these centers and their thoughts and just absolutely everything. And yes, obviously they have technologies now like voice to school and all that, but we're saying at like a deeper level that nobody could ever imagine. So let me go back, let me ask that last question, and then we're going to wrap up today's video. Fascinating. Absolutely. It's just so empowering to just, anyway, long story short, what was relayed to me was, when we as the collective come together for one cause, right? Just one cause. Yes, there's been division agendas and all that. We can stop them in their tracks. And that is what the white hats just relayed to me. if we can all come together 2027, 2028, 2029 to stop this, right? This is so much above politics and division stuff. Like, if we could all come together and say, no, we are not taking on this dystopian society that you guys want to push on us and absolutely override our free will. And for obviously for those who choose that, you know, if we stop in our tracks and just say, absolutely not, we are not going to let this happen, and all come together in that ways, whether that's through, okay, you know, whether that's a tax protest, I don't know what else really people could do, but something in the lens which is never seen, like I know what I tapped into, there was going to be this like political movement that's kind of supported by the White Hats, which I did a whole video on that with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, but it seems like we need something on even a larger, like a global lens saying no, because this has global implications for everybody in particular. So there's a very good chance, obviously, the more people kind of get engaged, and let's not just shove this all under the rug. We need to be aware of it. And then what can we do to kind of help the collective not anchor the timeline where like this is going to be the reality for us, right? So I think when we all come together on this particular issue, this is how we're going to combat this particular issue. And once again, this is not going to be an overnight situation. We are in the final, think about it, this is the final push to this dystopian reality that they want to create for us. That being said, we have to choose that timeline. I know I'm not choosing that timeline, and I will not be, you know, getting these updated systems. I don't want to even get like the next iPhone that comes out. I don't want to, like, I'm going to start being mindful of what I'm, you know, how I'm participating in engaging with all these updates and saying no if you want to put a chip in me, right? No, like just really kind of just anything that they want to try and push, especially with upgrades in technology and AI, just saying no. Obviously we have to work with some of it to an extent, but anything that overrides our power in our own consciousness, no, we're not dealing with that, right? We have so much power, and we don't need these technologies to take that from us. So if people come together on this one issue, we're going to be able to shift out of the timeline of this all happening for 2030. We won't see these 5G, 6G towers. We won't see, you know, it get to the point in which they want it to get to. That being said, there is this final push to get it to that particular point. And it might get a little worse before it gets better, but the quicker people kind of come together in these measures, you know, we're going to see those quicker results of this is not in our timeline anymore. And I believe that we're kind of one day just going to, you know, no matter however it unfolds on the back end of all of us coming together and saying, no, we're not dealing with this. One day it's going to click, being like, it could be like almost a timeline shift where we're kind of like, do you guys remember they were going to do all of these, they were going to build these data centers and control us all through it, but we absolutely stopped it. That's what could happen if people kind of come together and say no. So I think right now we're in a critical time where if you want to like I want to start leading some mass meditations out of this timeline, out of the AI dystopian control society. Once again, we're not fully there. They've done a lot, but we are not near where this could go. I mean, I'm just shocked with what I saw at that particular Apple event. Like, think about it. Like, you're getting a new phone in Apple 2030, but we're also going to chip you, and it'll be connected to these. They won't tell you it's connected to the centers, but they'll say, look what you could do with it, guys. You want to do it, and you'll get a free phone too. Like, it's going to be stuff like that. So we could stop this, and we don't have to engage with it at the same time. I think what I'm going to do is kind of just tap in and see if I could just like channel a final message for everybody to kind of, let's see how we can empower ourselves. And I just want to tap in and just feel into like a final message just for the highest good to kind of share with you guys. How can we keep our power, hold our vibration through whatever's being pushed, and be able to kind of fight back consciously, or, you know, maybe even in the physical a little bit. We'll see what comes forward. just gonna, like, literally for the highest good, I want to share with you guys just a channeled message from source frequency. So I just want to do that, and then I'm going to share with you guys what's come forward. Interesting. Wow, so powerful. So the message that came through from literally just tapping into, like, the source frequency grid, how I channel source is I literally just follow the cord that, because I always just, like, channel source energy into me, and I just go up to, like, the center of source, and just kind of, like, how I just get a message from source is literally just going to source and just getting the highest of all information that comes through. I know it sounds whatever, but it always, like, grounds me at the end of the day whenever I get these messages from source. So anyway, just going to source at frequency and just kind of feeling into and channeling the message. And what came through was, we don't have to be in fear. We don't have to be in fear of this particular agenda, because what fear is going to do is burn our frequency out and give it away to the shadow government. They want our fear, right? They want us to be scared and mad about this agenda. If we could go about it in faith, and I just want you guys to feel into my frequency as I'm sharing this information today. I'm not getting on here and screaming, look what they're doing, hyping you all up with fear, because that is absolutely not my mission. And if I started doing that, I should just delete my YouTube channel at that point. So just, if you find that I'm getting into that frequency, please let me know. And I'm gonna have to do a check on myself. So, but that being said, it's almost like we could burn ourselves out and give the shadow government all the power / reptilians and burn us out and be scared of all this. Or we could call back some of that energy, transmute it to the higher frequency of, it won't control us if we don't let it control us. And then we could take action on whether that's, doing these mass meditations, or, if you need to participate in an event where it causes damage to a facility, then trust that pull. And I'm sorry, like, that's very controversial. Trust but not out of fear, out of, I'm empowering this for humanity. This is for the highest good. So that's basically the final message, okay? I think I'm just going to wrap up this video so I don't got to get it into, okay, we all need to, like, riot and no, not like that. But trust your inner pullings on how to deal with this, but out of faith frequency and not fear frequency. And that is how we should go about combating the final elite 2030 agenda with the data centers, flock cameras, and 6G. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.